The tale I heard, how he came across Calver Mill, was that he was cycling round one weekend or whatever and came across Calver Mill, which was vacant, been vacant for years, and he decided to move St Mary's Road over to Calver Mill, where there was plenty of people wanting work after the war. And of course this is when he started up with stainless steel, which was just in the early stages. He was a very nice person, really. He didn't socialise a lot, but I'll give you one instant. I used to walk to work, and one morning this Rolls Royce drew up at the side of me, and it was Mr. Sissons. "Come on, get in." Right, I gets in this Rolls Royce, and the thing was I was a bit late for work, and I wanted to clock in. I thought, I'll get there in time now. Well, what did he do? He went straight past the mill, down to Baslow, round. Oh, gosh, I'm going to lose a quarter of an hour here. Anyhow, I managed to get back I got my timing, and you wouldn't remember Elsie, she was from Sheffield, and she said, "Oh, just look at her, Lady Docker." But that's the type he was,
I always worked on big ones, specials. These are all specials, you see.
Oh, I see.
For universities, hospitals, schools. Yes. You had a flat sheet of steel, and you had to mark it, fold it, weld it, and then you cut an aperture out like that, see? And then these bolts, they fitted on, and they were clamped, and they were welded around, dressed off, and you started with a flat sheet, and you ended up with a sink. We had presses on the bottom floor, and they put all the flutes and that in.
Right.
You see, and then you picked it up, you put fillets, we call fillets, that's the two end pieces that go on. You'd weld them, you'd solder it, scrape all the solder off, and it was hard work. You had to get somebody to help you to fold, and it's hard work folding 16 gauge stainless steel.
How long would that take you to do one a sink?
It varied. You used to get times for jobs. We had a system that it was a percentage system, a bonus system, and you get probably good jobs for 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and on the Friday you probably got a bad day, and it used to bring your percentage down. But we had that altered after a lot of meetings, and then we went on to the old money, 1 and 2pence an hour. So if I got a job for 30 hours, and I did it in 20, I'd saved 10 hours, so I got 10, 1 and 2pence.
Ah, I see. That sounds a good system.
So that's what it was. It just depends. If you've got a big angle unit, and you have to weld it, it took you quite a long time, 2 or 3 days.
2 or 3 days.
Yeah, but it was hard work, because 16 gauge stainless is very, very hard to fold up.
Yeah.
We had a natural talent, I suppose, and this is where I was principally involved, in trying to find government projects which had some spending capacity, tag on to those and make suitable products that fitted in very nicely with how they were spending. After the war, they had to have this huge local authority housing programme. Millions were made in the terms of number of houses required, so that's an exaggeration. So we latched onto it and we developed a stainless steel round bowl sink, which was developed in the late 50s. And that sold in the thousands to, I think it's about 300 different local authorities in the UK. And that was a big earner for us.
Legend has it that the intention was to do stainless steel buckets. But in the so doing, someone, and it's not been quite clear who, said to themselves, well, if I get a bigger piece of metal and I spin the shape in one end, then the other can be a draining board. So that's how the round ball sink started, and that's how it became secret.
I know we were trying when we first started doing these stainless steel toilets, all in one piece. They had various stages. Go down a little bit and then put a different nose on, make it a bit deeper, and then make it a bit deeper till it got about that deep out of imagine a flat bit of metal, it went down for that deep. And we got some stuff from China, and that were good stuff. But it were never done again. Although they got same metal, it never worked again. Not to be 100%. It were good packs that were. But first pack we ever did, we got 100% scrap. We had 100 pressings, and they all scrap. Because they didn't know how they were to go, because it's like shoving a nail into a sheet of metal. You've got to get down sharp, and it were only about that deep at bottom, and it was wide like this. Nobody had ever done it before. Nobody does it now, I don't think. Unless you do it in two halves. You can do it in two halves, but they want it to be in one piece. No, we were, and Peter May, he were in charge at Tool Job, and he said, if you get this right, he said, I'll fill you one of them full of beer. We did get it right, but I never got it full of beer.
And I worked in the whirler waste department. Nothing to do with sinks. It was the things that went under the sink, the garbage disposal units.
Right.
That was the department I was in, which was in the house itself.
Mm.
And I remember going for the interview, and I remember him saying, more or less saying, you know, what would you like to, how much would you want or something or other? Which would, you know, first job, I didn't know.
Mm.
And I started at £5.15 a week.
Mm.
Which I thought, well, I don't know what to think, but that was what it was, £5.15. I know they used to go into the warships, HMS, whatever it was.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I can't remember the name, say HMS Falklands. I know they had them, because I remember the stuff about it.
I was having a cup of coffee at work one morning. Phone went, and it was a large firm of London architects called Building Design Partnership, who I knew quite well. Manchester Square, remember the address. And they wanted to know if we could make some stainless steel shower enclosures for use in the Falklands. Now at the time we just defeated the Argentinians, and everybody was sticking the chest out saying what a wonderful country we were, quite rightly. And so he said, they've got to be done quickly. What can you do? So I said, well, what do you mean by quickly? He said 5 days. So right, I'll get on the train. So I immediately went to Chesterfield, got on the next train down, had an interview with them and their officers, got the drawings, and discovered that these panels are quite large and 20-30 foot long. And it's multi-station shower units. And so I brought it back, the drawings back, called a meeting the next morning and said, look, we've got 3 days to make these. Can we do it? And with all credit to the production and technical people, we can, because everybody was roaring for anything connected with the Falklands. So we made them, did them in the required length of time, and sent them to a firm called Vic Hallam in Nottingham. He fitted them into the temporary units that they were making, and it was shipped out to the Falklands. And then, about a month later, we got an order for about 35 of them.
I was happy at Calver Mill. Stephen, my son, had just gone to school, and I was wanting a little part-time job. And Jess Oakley said there was this at Calver Mill. So I went down, and when she explained, I said, well, I don't want to be working school holidays, you know, I want time off to... I said, but I tell you what, it was January, I'll work till Easter and give you a chance to get someone. And I stayed 28 years.
I went down actually for an office job, but there was no office work going at the time. And he said to me, would you be interested in cleaning one of the some of the offices? Which I wasn't really interested in that, but he said, well, if you'll come and help us out and come cleaning, then the first office job that comes available, we'll offer it to you. Which he did. But by that time, somehow or other, I didn't want to go into the office. I was quite happy, working amongst the men and the women, and so that's why I stayed put.
I'd like to record for posterity that when the mill had the lift put on the outside of the building, the firm that did it had erected these type of things all over the world. And on the last day, the charge hand of the company came to me and he said these words, John, in all the countries I've worked in, the people at Calver Mill are the most friendly people I have ever had the pleasure of working with.
1995 Christmas, they moved to Chesterfield and I stayed at Calver Mill. Everybody else had gone to Chesterfield to Carwood Road, and I stayed from January till the August. That's when I retired. And I was there just to finish more or less cleaning up, switching the lights off, as they said.